Yo,
What up?
what's going on? What's up, dog?
Not much, man. Not much. It is opening night. I'm feeling a
Heck
little
yeah.
jazzed. My voice is flat, but I feel jazzed. That's
That's all right.
right
That's
now.
all
I
right.
got that. I got that good treble in the voice. Like
And I
kind of
got that
sounds
good bass.
soothing. Yeah.
You got the treble, I got the bass. So you know what
Yep.
I'm saying? We just go like that. But it's been some exciting times, man. Some exciting NBA going on. I've been watching some games. Some games came to the wire. I was especially watching that Pistons Magic game. All just flooded with young players up in that one, dog. That was a good one. I think it was like 108 to 107 when I last looked at it. Pistons were up. A lot of good young players. The number one draft pick over there in Orlando.
Yep.
He had like 21-8. Was it Pacho? Or is it Pacho? I don't even know how to say this damn
Yeah.
name.
Yeah.
Is it
Yeah.
something like that? Y'all know who the hell I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. He
But
had a little bit of a rough preseason for like
rough
expectation, and
preseason.
yeah, a
But
little
he
bit,
looked
but
good in that regular season,
yeah.
dog. That's going to be the Magic, good young team. Like I said, Pistons, good young team. A lot of good young players in the NBA, DDP. And you know what's so crazy before we eventually talk about Mavs Phoenix? I was just looking at rosters.
Mhm.
When you see a player that's like 26 or 27, it's crazy. You think he's old.
Yeah. For NBA standards, yeah, he
For
might as well
NBA
be
standards now,
qualifying for Social Security at that
for
point.
real, like when you hit 30, you over the hill damn near the NBA. You know what I'm saying? Because when you start hitting that 26, you like, damn, me kind of old because you're seeing these guys 19, 20,
Yep.
21, 22, 23, flooded. And I mean,
Mhm.
flooded. The rosters are flooded with that throughout the league. And, I ain't going to lie, it's exciting because you like to see how it builds, how it grows, and kind of how it, ends up. So, but, we're getting ready for our game tonight, opening night, Mavs-Suns, and let's talk about it.
Yeah, for sure. So, as seems to be tradition, we're going to open in Phoenix. That is pretty much death taxes and a season opener in Phoenix for the Mavericks. I think it's something like 6 out of 8 years now. They have not only opened against the Suns, but in Phoenix. Don't know why. This year it actually makes sense, right? Like you're like, yeah, game 7 coming back off that. Neither team, I mean, the Mavs were in the West Finals, but like that wouldn't be Mavs Warriors wouldn't be the same storyline of it because the Warriors handled that pretty well. But when
Mhm.
you take a situation where it's like that game 7, I mean, the 7-game series was pretty legendary with Dallas and Phoenix last year.
Mhm.
And the juiciness of that storyline of Dallas going back to that arena after absolutely humiliating the Suns on their home court to the point where their front office had to make a press release like, well, obviously that didn't go the way we hoped.
Mhm.
Dude, I've never seen something that like you whipped them into submission. Like they were so devastated by that they had to literally do a press release. That's the weakest thing I've ever heard of. I would be embarrassed, like extra embarrassed as a Suns fan. Like, can you not make us look any more pathetic, please?
I mean, I feel you on that. Like, but when I looked at Phoenix, unless it was way back in the day when they had some Barclays and some Chime Chambers and some Dan Marleys and those guys, and ain't nobody ever thought Phoenix was no tough team. You know what I mean? And that just proves it. They got the fake tough guy to me. The Phoenix Suns do.
Right, right.
And just like last year, Booker always running his jab. I've been I'm let me first tell you, I'm a Devin Booker fan as far as his
You
skills,
are. Yeah.
but now I ain't a fan like that no more. When I was did an article on him when I was in media school in 2016
Hmm.
saying I thought he was going to be a star, and he ended up being what I thought he was going to be.
Hmm.
But I ain't gonna lie, that yapping that he was doing and the cockiness, it's all good. But you're doing it against my squad, and I feel like you created a little mini rivalry. In my opinion,
Yeah.
you created a rivalry. Now with Luca, you have created that because now that is, I don't care anybody say, people are gonna watch that matchup, and there's something there. There is something there. at least on Booker's side, and I believe
Sure.
and Luka is not going to back down from it, and he's going to thrive on it. Like every time he sees you, he's going to try to come at you. If that's what you want, he's going to make sure he gives it to you every time. So I feel like there's a rivalry right now. He kind of created that. So I'm interested to see. I don't give a hell coming to Phoenix. I'm ready to beat them. I want to beat them in their house again. You know, we smacked them. I love the way we smacked them, especially all that trash talk that was going on from Phoenix. I love the way we went out there and demolished them,
Yeah.
annihilated you. You know what I'm saying? Made you do press things, all kind of stuff. So now let's see how it goes, and let's see how we get in today, because they got was it Jay Crowder? He's out tonight.
Yeah,
So
I
that's
think
kind of
his
big.
situation is still what it is. They're still going to try and look to see what they can find trade wise for him. For the Mavericks, Davis Bertans, or
Mm-hmm.
sorry, Davis Bertans is out. Knee and Nilikina is also out.
I wish
Maxi is
Frank
a
was playing.
yeah. Maxi is available though. He was a non-COVID illness during the week, but he is available. And also for the Suns, Landry Shamet is out. So couple little rundown there of the sort of injury report, if you will. I would love to see Dallas come in here and trailer park smack the
Mm-hmm.
Suns again. It would
Mm-hmm.
be beautiful. I don't know that that's going to happen tonight, though. Honestly, like I know that it would be sweet, but this game means everything to Phoenix.
Right.
It really does. Like they have stewed on this game. Dallas, in the grand scheme, Dallas doesn't give a crap about this game. Like they want to start the season out and get a little bit of rhythm. They'd like to win, obviously, but for them, they didn't have to carry the weight and the burden of hearing about Game 7 all off season long. They didn't have to go through that. So for Phoenix, this is vengeance. This is their chance to respond to it. Dallas, it's just like, man, you're just a game, and that speaks more highly to Dallas. That for Phoenix, this is might as well be a playoff game for them in a lot of respects. But for Dallas, it's just like you're just a game. Like you hate us with every fiber of your being right now. We're indifferent towards you. We don't feel anything towards you. You're just another team on the schedule. Like that's kind of heavy. You know what I mean? Like you're not even worthy of being a rival. Devin Booker might want to make it a rivalry with Luka, and from an outside perspective, he did that in the playoff series last year. But only one of those dudes ever led his team to anything. I mean, before Chris Paul got there, Devin Booker never won more than like 32 games in a season.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not a comparison. He's a phenomenal scorer. I've said this before. As a number 2 option, he's fantastic. But I don't think he's the guy. He's certainly not better than Luka. Is he a better scorer than Luka? I'll probably give him that. But in terms of the all around that Luka brings, no, not even close. And only one of these guys has led his team to anything. So, um, yeah, it's like the people want to say the narrative of like, oh, well, Devin Booker didn't have anything to work with those first several years in Phoenix. Phoenix has had a lot of nice players for a while, a lot of nice players they just couldn't put together. They've had the long 3-and-D guys for a while. They've had a couple nice front court players come through. Luka got to a Mavericks team that won like 23, 24 games, and within a year had them in the playoffs. You can't say on one hand, Luka does everything himself. He has no help. The Mavericks don't have, Sports Illustrated wrote today, the Mavericks don't have a true number 2. Jalen Brunson was the number 2 last year. Now he's gone. Who's the number 2? Christian Wood? I think that's mostly empty numbers. Spencer Dinwiddie? Not consistent enough. It's Luka versus everything. You can't say that on one hand and then turn around and act like Luka has the deeper, better team than anything Devin Booker had when you look at Devin Booker's roster, comparatively
Mm-hmm.
speaking. It just doesn't make sense. It's like they change the nuance to the argument to fit whatever particular argument they're trying to make at that point. Like they tweak it without seeing the hypocrisy of it.
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, I feel you on that. I still feel like there's something there. I feel like there's something there with this Dallas Phoenix thing. Just me. And we're gonna see how we already talked about that. We felt like the Mavericks were gonna come out on a slow start because you have new additions, McGee, Wood, your draft pick, Jaden Hardy. So you have different parts. Josh Green is making his way, and he just got re-signed. You're trying to figure out how the Dwight Powell now fits in with the big guys. Dorian Finney-Smith, Dinwiddie.
Yep.
That's a big one right there. I want to see how Dinwiddie really looks, because that last game that they had, they started Hardaway, and
Yeah.
I'm interested to see if they're going to start Luka and Hardaway and work with that. Because I told you, me personally, DDP,
Hmm.
I feel what you're saying about Hardaway coming off the bench, but now what you have Dinwiddie, I just don't like Dinwiddie and Luka together. I just don't like them starting together. I don't like that. I feel like they can come in the game, but I don't want them to start the game together because you just saw Dinwiddie last game.
Hmm.
He was like 0 for 6 and like 2 for 9. Like, come on,
Yeah,
dog.
the dress rehearsal game was a bad game for the team all around. I think they
Yeah,
in hindsight, wish
he
they
got to
had.
play better today, though, DP.
Sure,
I'm tired of
sure.
seeing those bad shooting games from him, and he's got to step up. You had a whole season. You were on
Hmm.
doing the off season. I don't want to
Whole off
see
season, yeah.
yeah, you feel me? I don't want to see the struggles, dog. Come on, you got to step his game up.
Yeah, it's interesting as well. You mentioned Hardaway and Dinwiddie. They actually have not played a single minute together. Hardaway was already
Wow.
out for the year by the time Dinwiddie got here,
Right.
so it'll be interesting to see how they gel in that respect. I look to Dinwiddie starting, and I say like, well, the Mavericks made it work with two ball handlers with Luca and Jalen, and they're essentially trying to use Spencer Dinwiddie in that same light. And so, with that being the case, I'm imagining that they're going to, at least early on, ride pretty similarly with Spencer in that first lineup where you have two creators. Now, in the games that Dinwiddie was a Maverick last year, the 23 regular season games, when he started alongside Luca, he played off the ball more, obviously, and in that spot up capacity. So even if he's starting with Luca, his implementation isn't going to be the same as what he would be with the second unit. And so I feel like there is probably a little bit of give and take there that can marry the two, but you just have to see. It's going to be an interesting experiment, and that's another reason I'm not super optimistic about this particular game. It doesn't mean as much to Dallas, and the dress rehearsal showed, because we had a fair bit of roster turnover, there's going to be some stuff that has to be ironed out. Last year was a really rough start the year. Not as much change here. It's not like you're changing a coaching staff and offensive defensive schemes. I get it, but it's still different, and it's going to take some time for them to, I think, sort that out. And find a proper rhythm. So I think it's going to be a physical game, but I ultimately don't think that it's going to be one that matters as much to Dallas. I think Phoenix is going to be much hungrier come third, fourth quarter. I think that's where it probably separates.
Yeah, well, we're gonna see. Well, like I said, I'm interested to see how these guys play together. We saw the few preseason game. Um, Christian Wood averaged like 17 points, 8 rebounds in the preseason. Really like seeing that. I liked how he was, especially with that first time I really saw him with Luca. I was watching how they were, playing together, and Luca was, feeling them out. You know what I mean? I could see how Luca was kind of feeling them out, and then once he saw Christian getting his kind of thing off, he's
Yep.
like, okay, I got you. Now I'm gonna go to the hole, kick you out, kick it out to you, bam, another three. That's what I love about Luca. Luca has a feel for his players.
Hmm.
He sees, especially if you're a new guy, he kind of ain't gonna give it to you right now. I'm gonna give it to my guys first, see what you do.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, you turn it up a little bit. Okay, I got you. Boom, boom, go to whole bam. I'm gonna feed you. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? He will get you involved and get you in your game to where you're feeling good about yourself. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I like seeing that, him and Wood doing that. Hardaway came in with some nice threes toward the end of the game. You know how streaky he is, but it was nice seeing him hit those threes at the end of the game. And then I like seeing that lob game with him and JaVale McGee. I think that's going to be real good this year. Him and Dwight Powell, JaVale McGee. Because he was setting it up nicely. You could see how McGee and him were just, setting it up. So it's going to be some good stuff. I just want to see kind of how that all kind of happens. I'm not putting a lot of stock in this game, but I do want to see how how Kid is, putting the team in the, how am I going to start this? I want to
Yeah.
just see how they start, kind of playing together and filling themselves out in their first regular season game. So I'm really interested to see how Christian Wood plays. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think he's a huge factor this year. Obviously, we've talked about him at times being a potential six man of the year candidate. Sports Illustrated in their preview, I actually got that today. I was reading through it and they were talking about the Southwest Division. And they're not, I mean, like they're high on Luca's MVP potential.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but it's one of those things where it's like kind of a slight at the same time. It's like a backhanded compliment a little bit, where it's like,
Mm-hmm.
he's a phenomenal player, one of the best playmakers in the game, about as good a one man show as you'll find. They kind of then intimated the problem is he's kind of a one man show. Like, it's again, they're contending Jalen left. He was their number two guy, which again, I keep pointing to, like, nobody's taking credit away from Jalen and what he meant to the team. But it's really weird how a guy who wasn't viewed as even worthy of being a consistent starter until January, by the time we get to like June, we're talking about it like,
Son, he's the guy.
yeah, now all of a sudden, like you have some people like Ben Simmons and stuff projecting Dallas to win like 42 games and be in like the play-in. And that's the difference of Jalen Brunson's absence, like from Western Conference Finals to
Cut it
play-in,
out.
simply because of the Brunson departure. Like that, like I don't take him seriously anyway. I don't. But
Right.
like it's examples like that where it's just like, I know the West is deep. I know some people, like, as they're like going through these rankings, people still forget about Luca. You see, like, how many advertisements did you see for like the NBA is back, and they'll show like 10 players on the poster, and Luca's not one of them, and you're like, dude, he's one of the three best players in the league.
Because there's
He
hate
was
around
in the
there. There's
Western
hate.
Finals,
You know,
like,
like I know they're starting to
I,
hate on Luca, bro.
yeah,
They're starting to.
and my point is like, I think the people that make their lists as there's like, all right, let me try and break down the West. Okay, this team's good. Oh, I like what they're doing with this team. Suddenly they get to like the last few and they're like, ooh, we hadn't even mentioned Dallas yet. They were just in the West Finals. Well, they lost Jalen. That's a big departure. He averaged like 20 a game for them in the playoffs. They got Luca, probably play in. Like they're not really analyzing anything. And again, the West is deep. It's impressive. It's a really deep conference, but it's silly to me how these things get overlooked. So I think the
But also
points
know
production,
DDP. You
yeah,
also know DDP though. The way they do it is it's a star game. It's all about the stars and the names and the we get 2 stars together, we get 3
right,
stars. Everybody's trying to loke up and do this like that. And that's why the Mavericks don't get looked at. They don't have that. So people will naturally say, well, they ain't really gonna be good. They don't got this
yeah,
star power. Or they don't have like even when you're talking about OKC, they don't have Giddy or they don't have Shy. They don't have like the the names that tickle your ears. Dorian
yeah,
Finney-Smith, he don't tickle your ears. Reggie Bullock, he don't tickle your ears. But they are steady good players, but they don't tickle your ears, so they're gonna already be always kind of downcast. And
right,
like you said, well, like I feel, there's hatred going around for now, Luca. I feel like the first couple years, people were like, "Yeah, we love Luca," but now, and I think one of the things is, and I don't, I love it. I love the dog. You know what I'm saying?
right,
I think
right,
when he be doing that talking and whining a lot, I think that's starting to get on people's nerves around the league. So they're not jumping up and down for Luca because he's always talking. He's always
yeah,
talking to them refs. And I personally wish he would chill out with that because he don't need to. You the man, bro. You gonna get them calls.
yeah, no, 100%. And that probably does play into it. Certainly, the perception of him complaining too much about calls, but all superstars do that.
Right.
I'm not excusing it. It's annoying,
Mm-hmm.
but it's one of those things where it's like, okay, like for outer perception, that does play into it. But I don't worry too much about it. It's one of those things that they're always going to do it. You still have people trying to make the argument of like, well, he's got to have postseason success. He went to the conference finals in year 4.
Right.
He pulled an upset in each of the first 2 rounds, including what I don't remember how many games Phoenix won last year. It was a franchise record, I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
Like I want to say it was like 65
Yeah, I
wins,
think it was like 65 gagames
something
last year.
like that. Yeah. Let us know in the comments. Correct me. How many games did Phoenix win last year?
I
Point
got it.
being
64, 64
64.
and 18.
Damn, I was close. I was actually kind of pulling that out of my ass.
Yeah, that
Um,
was damn good.
um,
Way to
But
pull it
yeah,
out of there.
yeah. um, but it's ridiculous. Like he had his. Not only did he have playoff success, he had his moments. Down 0-2 against the Suns, down 3-2. Everybody want to talk when they're up. Like that's him literally calling his shot and then by himself demolishing and outperforming Chris Paul and Devin Booker in games 6 and 7. Like that already tells you everything. Like, but people don't want to change that perception.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why that is. Like why he still held to an unrealistic standard. You still got people talking about like for Denver, like, oh, well, Jamal Murray's coming back and everything. And, in the playoffs, in the bubble, he went wild, dude. Yeah, the bubble was like 3 years ago. Like
Right.
we need to move on from that. And not only that, he had a devastating knee injury. He's probably going to be rough for a little while. But
Mm-hmm.
it's it's a ridiculous notion. And for whatever reason, Luka's success hasn't held the same way. Like what Jordan didn't get to the Western Finals until Western Finals, the Eastern Finals until year 7 because he kept running into Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
And the finals was like, I guess it would have been that same year that he finally broke through. But you look at the guys, like so many of these great players, they're not getting all the way there. Like, yeah, LeBron got there fast with Cleveland. And you know what happened? He got his ass beat by the Spurs. He got swept his first time through.
Why you think he left Cleveland?
Yeah, exactly. He
I
had to
was
go
there. I
form his
was here.
team.
He got tired of. I didn't feel like he went with players. This is what it was. He's not doing what Luka's still doing right now.
Right.
He was like, you know what? I took this team to a level and I can't take it no more with these players. You get what I'm saying? That's why he left. Because he felt like this supporting cast, and we saw that final supporting cast against the Spurs. I mean, come on, dog. I don't even know how they made it to the finals with that team. That was all LeBron. But
it was, yeah, no
that
doubt.
was all LeBron. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
but
that
I
was
just
the
feel
year he had
like
like the last 25 points of
that
the
was
fourth
against the
quarter.
Pistons.
Like
You know
that
what I'm
was
saying?
absurd. Yeah.
But
And
when I look
that was
at this,
damn good Pistons team.
When I see this thing with Luka, right?
Mm-hmm.
People need to understand that the West is tough. So for you to see the way the Mavericks got in, I don't like the disrespect with it because the West is hard as hell. The West has got a whole slew of talent, damn near top to bottom. Okay.
Yep.
And for the way they played and the seeding that they got, number one, it wasn't like they can't got in as a seed playing. You feel me?
They were 5.
Steady 5. They were
Yeah.
ranging from 4 and 5 or, teetering to after,
And if you take their winning record post, like in the new year, only Phoenix had a better record than them in the new year.
Right. That's when they was turning up.
Yep.
That's when they was gelling. That's when they really started happening. So, I'm just kind of, in my head, I want these guys to shut a lot of people up because, but that's cool with being the underdog. I like that too, though. That's cool with being underdog. Let's stay under the radar, DDP. Let's let them keep on saying that. Okay, yeah, Dallas Day, man. Let's let them keep on playing the radar. And then next thing you know what they're going to be doing, DDP. Damn, Dallas is, we ain't been talking about these Mavs, but look at them. They on an 8-9 game win streak. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
it's all good because, this, if you look at the team last year, we lost Jalen Brunson. I feel like you added more than you lost. Okay. Jalen Brunson's good, but he ain't no, I'm not giving Jalen Brunson that. You know what I'm saying? So when I see that what Dallas added, and I don't give a hell what anybody say, Jason Kidd is gonna play that rook, Jaden Hardy. I know y'all keep talking about in DDP, and I know you probably in your head like keep staying slow, Jay. I know, but Jaden Hardy, he gonna be continuing to get that work, dog. And what we talking about, Tim Hardaway Jr., that flexing. The biggest problem with Jaden Hardy is going to be his defense. That's what's really going to keep his butt on the bench is his defense and or lack thereof. And he struggles defensively, fouls a lot because he doesn't know how to move his feet.
He's also streaky right now.
Yeah, you know what I mean? He has the body type and the athletic to be a very good defender. And I feel like Jason Kidd is eventually going to get him there. But I like him, dog. I think I'm just not letting that go. I think that was a great pick for the Mavericks.
Sure.
Great pick. And I think he's going to really turn into something. And keep on working hard, Jaden. Keep on working hard, dog. Got a lot of talent. Work on that defensive game, man. Continue to work on that defensive game, getting stronger, coming off the pick stat, because that's what's
Right.
going to get you in on the court, Jaden. The defense, not the offense. The defense going to get you on that court.
Yeah, for real. I mean, even last year with Josh Green's struggles, which were pretty immense, especially in the postseason, he was still finding his way onto the floor because he was hustling, like he was playing hard defense. Now, sometimes was it almost like undirected chaos a little bit, but it's kind of a wild card factor. And when you're looking for a spark, sometimes you turn that direction. Now, in Green's case, he was playing himself back off the floor by not being able to hit an open three to save his life. But
Mm-hmm.
that's part of the growth. So, regular season, Hardy can definitely get some looks, get some burn, and maybe we'll get something.
Yeah.
Now, one thing that's interesting is we talk about Green and Hardy specifically, and we talked earlier about Frankie Smokes, Ntilikina. Um, the Mavericks coming into this season, they were holding open that last roster spot, and they kept kind of saying like, well, we don't feel like we have to have a third ball handler. Like you had, Mavs GM on there on the ticket talking about like, well, we didn't have one last year until the Dinwiddie trade. And we were still doing really well. Like we were already on our upswing, and
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't until we made that adjustment that we had three. It's like, it's great if you have three, but you don't have to have three. And Spencer basically, we think, can fill the role that Jalen left. So we got that. Plus we got Hardy, we got Frankie Smokes, we got Josh Green taking the leap. We think we got guys that we feel like can create plays and be a third ball handler for us. That lasted for about 10 days of camp. And then they ended up going, yeah, all right, let's sign 31-year-old Faku Campazzo. I don't know how to say the last name. I've
Yeah. I
honestly
don't know how to say
not
it at
heard
all.
it.
You
Now,
probably know more about him because I
yeah,
did see it. That's Luca's old guy that he used
Real
to hoop
Madrid.
with. Yeah,
Yep. Yep.
that
It's
might be
Luca's
good,
teammate.
right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's not
Maybe
bad.
I
I'll,
don't
I'll be
know.
on.
I
I'll
don't
be
know
on.
nothing about him.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, man. Like, I don't think it's a bad signing, but I will say this: there were better players released from their teams right before the season started, like guys that were out there basically on the waiver wire and free
Does that
agents.
appease Luca?
Uh, does this one appease Luka? I mean,
Yeah, is
it's
that the signing to
possible, but
appease
like, dude, you
him?
look at some of the moves they made in the offseason, they did not say like, oh, we got to keep this guy. It's Luca's friend. Whether we're talking
Mm,
about Bobby, whether we're talking about I mean, Jalen, hell, that was a huge one. Jalen, other than Dorian Finney-Smith, Jalen was Luca's closest friend on the team.
right,
Um, and prior to that, Dennis Smith, like you had several cases where they didn't keep Luca's like tightest friends around.
right,
So I don't know if it's to appease Luca. Might help him be a sense of comfort that he's known him so long. The guy's
right.
played with him since Luca was like 16 for Real Madrid. So there's definitely comfort there. But I mean, we're talking about a guy that's 31 years old. There were better players who came available right before the start of the season. Mavericks hadn't even officially signed him yet. I feel like they
Mm-hmm.
could have made a last minute pivot if they wanted to. I just think they had already kind of mentally committed to that idea. And here's the thing, at 31 years old, his only NBA experience is the last 2 years, 2020 to 2022. He was with the Nuggets. He's okay. He can give you, back of the rotation stuff. He might be a guy that can be, he's a good culture glue guy. He's a guy that, when called on, might be able to give you some decent minutes. But I don't think he's going to be a major contributor to this thing. Like, I think
No,
it's kind of like,
not at all.
yeah. So I get it, but like, I feel like there was better options there. And unless I'm severely underestimating him, everything I've seen so far
You're
suggests they
not.
would have been better off going a different direction.
You're not, sir. Seriously, honest man. I don't
Yeah.
have to even see him keeping all the way funky. I don't have to see him, but I seen the name. I was like, okay, that might. I felt like, okay, that must be somebody that Luca's is comfortable with because he ain't doing nothing, dog.
Yeah, no, it's a back of the rotation guy. Might be able to give you some good minutes in a spell, but I'm not super high on the signing as far as like the on court product. But again, it might be a good culture guy, a good hard worker in practice that is endearing to his teammates. I mean, hell, to be fair, Theo Pinson is that. Theo Pinson's only role in Dallas is to basically be the ultimate culture guy.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So it happens.
Yeah, we'll see. Like I said, we'll see what happens. And like you said, it could be a good culture guy. My guy who I want to see this year, if I have maybe some guys we already talked about. You know how much I love Hardy.
Hmm.
I'm interested to see how the Josh Green thing goes. I like how he looks more confident this year, so I'm heavily going to keep my eye on him. I'm feeling the Christian Wood thing, but somebody I always mess up on the name. You're gonna have to get it for me. I'm gonna get it, y'all, soon. But
Okay.
my guy Frank Nitti, I'm calling him Frank Nitti,
Nilakina. Don't
Nilakina,
pronounce.
but he's
Yeah,
Frank
don't.
Nitti.
Frank. Oh, you're going for a nickname. I thought you were talking about pronunciation.
No, no, no. That's the nickname I'm giving him. I
Okay.
was like, instead of me just tearing up the name, he's Frank Nitty.
Yeah.
Y'all know that he was
Nilly
the gangster
smokes.
back in there. You feel me?
Yeah.
So I like his game, man, and I like how he came over. I want to see how he does with Dallas. I think he could be something that Dallas. He's in the rotation. I think
Yeah.
something that he can add to Dallas, and I like to see what he can do this year.
Yeah, he's an interesting addition. His defense in that Sun series last year was huge. I mean, he was a big part of why they were able to turn that tide because frankly, if you look at Devin Booker when he was guarded by Nilikina after game 2, Nilikina, with the exception of like one game, shut his ass down.
Right,
Like his length bothered him. And not many guys, to Booker's credit, not many guys just shut him down. You can slow him down, but you don't do a whole lot of shutting him down.
right.
So that was really impressive to see. Um, I what's interesting about this matchup now, and again, it's a different looking Mavericks team. I mean, we talk about just foundationally, like consider the front court, what you had last year.
Mm-hmm.
You had Bertans, you had Maxey, you had Dwight Powell. What really else did you have in your center rotation?
Right.
Like
Yeah.
you didn't have
We have nobody. We
a
had
whole lot
nothing.
to work with. And now you have
Two.
from the Suns last year, JaVale McGee as your starter, and you have um, Christian Wood. That's a lethal 1-2 punch. Like not just in the fact that it's thunder and lightning a little bit, defense with offensive flash. It's not just that. Like it brings a much more balanced attack for Dallas that they haven't
Yes.
had. It's not just that both of them are crazy athletic lob threats. Even McGee at his age still has that in him.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there was a great stat somewhere. I don't think I have it on me right now. Um, I want to say it was from Is Talk Franco. He was talking about in a single Maverick season, like the most dunks in a single Maverick season. The record, two of the top 3 records are held by Tyson Chandler. And again, he had 2 seasons total in Dallas. And then I think Dwight Powell clocked in at the third one. But you take Chandler's most dunk happy year, which was actually his second stint with Dallas, and you go off of JaVale McGee's last year, I think McGee was still like 60 dunks higher. So you have that and Christian Wood. And it's like, yeah, and for whatever it's worth, Dwight's still there. Although I really don't think Dwight Powell's going to be a big minutes guy this year. I think he's going to be relegated much more so to a reserve role, which is good. It's the correct call. You've had 3 years in the playoffs to see, like, yeah, he's kind of a good hard hustler and minutes guy.
That's it.
He's not really gonna be a guy that can contribute. The fact that you can't play him
No.
more than 10 minutes a game in the postseason, despite him being considered a starter for 3 years, is devastating.
That's
But
yeah. I
having
didn't mean to
all those
cut you off.
lob threats,
No, I didn't
that's
mean to
that's
cut you off.
incredible.
That
You're
my
good.
my bad. My bad. I was just bouncing off what you just said with the lob threats. Dallas
Yeah,
got
yeah,
to
yeah.
the Western Conference Finals with Dwight Powell and Maxi Kleber.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you have 2 good athletic long additions that are adding to that. That makes to
Mhm.
me, number one, you don't have to worry about Powell, and I feel like that makes Powell better because he's not counted on. When you're not counted on, you tend to play better because you know what I'm saying. When I felt like people were like, he's got to score. That's not his game. You don't rely on
Yeah.
nothing from Dwight Powell. We were feeling like we had to make him into a score. He's got to score points. Dwight, that's not him. Okay. And
Right.
you got to the Western Conference final with that. Maxi Kleber, nice shooting that three. But, he's got to play inside, and he ain't really doing that work like crazy against, the more athletic guys that you're seeing in the West. Now you have guys that can match up with them. So I feel like now it makes the Maxi Klebers even better.
Yeah. No, it absolutely does. Your team is deeper and more dynamic than it was last year. I said last year you had 3-and-D weapons. You didn't have a lot of depth. Your roster, your depth in the postseason was actually very shallow. But what you did have was a couple of very high-end 3-and-D guys in Dodo and Reggie Bullock. And you had basically just an absolute commitment to swarming mentality for everyone else. And you had a lot of guys knocking down threes. Like different stints of that run. Luka, we've talked about this before. Luka generates the most wide open 3-point looks year after year after year in the NBA. And different times of that postseason run, different guys were finding that rhythm. We're lighting it up. I mean, you had moments where Davis Bertans, I keep saying Davis is how I'm supposed to say it. Davis Bertans
Davis.
would set up in that corner and just splash a three when Luka or whoever would drive to the basket, kick it out to him in that short corner, and he just splashed like 2 or 3 threes in a row. And it's just like, all right. Maxey had his game against Utah where he dropped like 5 threes, and you're just like, son of a bitch. Like, what is this? The guy coming into the postseason missed like, man, it was like the last 9 games. He shot like 12% from 3 of the regular season. And then he got to the postseason and was like, here's a 5 out of 7 3-point shooting night for you. Dig it.
Right.
Like, it's just like, good God, man. And they just consistently found different guys that can knock it down. And of course, Jalen's coming out party was also huge, not taken away from that. But the only guy who didn't have like an extended stretch of like his quote unquote moment is probably the next to Christian Wood, the next important Maverick for a big year. And we've already talked about him a little bit. It's Spencer Dinwiddie. Like, Jalen, say what you want about his deficiencies. The guy was consistent. He was a steady, sure hand. Not a great defender, but a steady, sure hand. He could orchestrate the offense. He could create his own shot. He could knock down. He could score. He couldn't get all the way to the cup always, especially in the teeth of the defense, but he was crafty. He had a craftiness about him. And certainly when he started to break out last year, you saw him attacking the paint more, which was really nice to see. If anything, my criticism for Jalen, I guess, was just he only takes like 1 or 2 threes a game. He really does not like 3-point shots. And it's like, for your size and everything, that'd be great if you could add to that, but not my problem anymore.
Yeah.
So it's just like, yeah, these different guys had their moments. They broke out and it just kind of powered it. But like the major deficiencies of the roster were still very real. They don't really have those deficiencies now. Now it's just a matter of, okay, let's give some time and let the guys kind of find a rhythm, gel together, build that chemistry. The dress rehearsal preseason finale for them really showed that they need that time. They're a rough product right now for sure. But on paper, they got everything they need. I'm trusting that the combination of Dinwiddie and Christian Wood fills that void left by Jalen for a number 2 guy.
Well, all I'm gonna say is this: Spencer Dinwiddie, you gotta be better. I was excited when they got you over here. I liked what you did in the off season. I liked the work that you did. We had the video where he's, when he was, I believe with Reggie Bullock and those guys talking, Finney, Smith talking about, how it's more of a role, the leadership and things of that nature. But I'm gonna just say this, DDP, Spencer Dinwiddie, you're a career 41% guy. Career 41% guy. Okay.
On field
And
goal percentage or like
field goal
threes?
percentage
Threes would be fantastic, but it's field
no,
goals.
no.
I just wanted to clarify that.
Yes. Career 32% on 3-point range, career 41% on field goal percentage. That's not good at all. Okay.
No.
In his best years, your best year field goal percentage wise in the long stretch was 44%. He shot with Dallas in that little 23 game, 49. But your best season when it was extended was like 44%.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's when he was like 12, 16, and 20. Okay. In his 20-point year, he only shot 41% from the field. That's got 30% from the 3-point range. That's got to be better. You get what I'm saying,
Right,
DDP?
right.
That has to be better. I know you had those points, but that's showing me right there, DDP, that, we're probably going to have to deal with that because that's been your career unless you play lights out.
Yeah, Dinwiddie's definitely peaks and valleys. That's the kind of player that he is. You'll have moments where he's sensational for a stretch, like he was for the most part in that 23 game regular season stint with Dallas. And you'll have moments where it's kind of like parts of that playoff run where it's just like, whew, it'd be nice if Spencer would show up
Mm-hmm.
and you'll get a game or two maybe in a series. I mean, people kind of overlook what he did in game 7 against Phoenix. Like they focus on Luca and for very understandable reasons, but
Oh, he turned
Spencer
up.
Dinwiddie was also killing him.
Yeah,
Dinwiddie
he
had like
turned up. We needed
20
that.
at half. Yeah. He had like 20 at half. Luca had 30 at half. It was just like, shit, dude.
But see, that's why I feel like the blowout was happening because he was turning up in that
Yeah.
game, which we needed. And that's what he has to do, DDP, and he's got to shoot better. I know he's not really like a shooter, more of a scorer because he can create his own shot thing, but he's got to shoot. He's got to shoot better. He has to shoot better, especially because he's going to have looks with the way Luka drives the ball, especially with you got two of those ball handlers right there. He's going to be able to. He's going to see 3-point looks. The way this offense is structured, he's got to make shots, man.
Yeah. No, it absolutely boils down to his ability to find some kind of consistency. And I feel like that's a real question about whether or not he can do it. I would argue he's never had the weapons and the kind of floor general with him to benefit him for that, to really put him in that position to do that. I mean, you think about it, like he was he had 2 really good years with Brooklyn, but it was before Brooklyn like built itself
Right.
into kind of what it is now. And then he went to Washington. And I know I think he came in with like Detroit. He just hasn't been around teams in a position with the kind of talent to really maximize his skill set. And so I feel like if he's capable of this, there's not many guys you could maybe pair him with better to get the most out of him. You could argue, although it's for an extremely short window of time at this point, you could argue like a Chris Paul, maybe, the consummate floor general. But Luca, if we've talked about this, Luca, if guys play with Luca, their 3-point percentage creeps up. Like they have, if not career best years shooting threes, certainly like among their best years compared to their career. Exceptions are like Porzingis, who for whatever reason, like when you look at the metric of guys who made the highest percentage, like their percentage on wide open 3-pointers, which is to say a 3-pointer with 6 or more feet between them and the defender, Porzingis was among the bottom 5%, I think, last year with like a minimum 100 attempts. That's why it didn't work from that aspect. Christian Wood's not going to have that problem. I really don't think he'll have that problem at all. Christian Wood will hit step back threes on you. Like he's
Mm-hmm.
fearless in that regard. He does
He's
not
more
carry.
fluid too.
Yeah, yeah. He doesn't go like, oh man, I'm 6'10. I shouldn't be doing this. Mid range and in. No, no, no. He'll bring the ball down the court, run
Mm-hmm.
run the offense. He'll hit a step back three, a transition trailing three. He'll do whatever. He is, we've said this, he is essentially, from a skill set perspective, the realized version of what they hoped to get from Porzingis offensively.
Exactly. Exactly. And we'll see if, like I said, games getting ready to start here in a few. So we're going to see how this 22-23 Mavericks season go.
Yep.
Like I said, I'm excited about it. We both how we feel about this game. We know that we feel like it's probably going to be a little bit of time for the team starts gelling. So we ain't going to be freaking out. But
Yep.
I think we're both just going to be checking out the team, how it runs, how the offense run, how they play defense. We know how Kid really instilled that defensive effort last year, and
Yeah.
that's one of the reasons why they got into the playoffs and did what they did in the playoffs was because of their defense. They had turned into that defensive-minded type team, and that's what I like. So let's hope that can continue to happen. We'll see what goes on tonight. And make sure y'all continue. because the game great. So I know how you want to go with a big dog. You let me know.
No, we're good. My voice is about to give out anyway. I had to mute with the cough a second ago. So
You look like your voice, your way,
yeah,
your neck. I'm like, sounds like your voice hurts, bro. So
yeah,
yeah, so I
it's not
got.
feeling great.
He did 32 voiceovers, y'all. So just so y'all know, he
Yeah,
braved it out for
yeah.
us today. But just to keep your eyes on it, just once again, we're gonna say, go out there, continue to support the Dallas Prospect, DDP, Big Game James. We're going to be doing this every Wednesday, the whole season long, and we'll probably do some games here and there. We're going to figure that out. We'll
Mhm.
do some live, watch party games. Some of those big games. Obviously, we're not going to do every damn game, the 82 games, but we'll corner some games that we kind of feel like it's going to be a really good matchup, and we'll jump on there, have a good watch party. So make sure y'all jump in on that. Make sure you continue to support the pages. We're going to continue to grow in this. My dog DDP's got some good ideas, though. He shot to me earlier today about formats and things of that nature. So just make sure y'all continue to support, continue to like, all that good jazz, and let's get ready for this basketball season. You already know what we're doing on football, so that's already going to be incorporated. We'll be talking about Cowboys. That's going down. But this is what I'm really excited about, being DDP, really jumping on here, attacking these Dallas Mavericks, and let's see what happens this year, because I'm excited to see what these dudes do this season.
Absolutely. It's going to be a good year, man. I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, sir. So for my dog, DDP, the Dallas Prospect, myself, Big Game James, we're out. Make sure you check out that game. Let's get this dub, and I need that $5 holla.